And welcome to Transcendence Estates. I am bringing a very special message today. So I decided, because the message that we're going to be speaking about today is kind of intense as the world is changing so quickly, I decided that I was going to try to dress for the part. You know, it's all about the character that you're playing. So today, first of all, welcome. You know, we're moving into the fall. And for about 6 years now, people have been talking about this particular fall and the changes that were going to occur during this fall. And I bet you're all wondering what they are. If you've been following astrology or numerology, you know that a big change is coming. And every second Sunday, I have been lovingly prepping you for what is going to be manifesting in each and every one of our lives. And what that looks like is a peaceful world. Now, how we get there has everything to do with how you see yourself. Because each candidate that is in office right now working to tell you what they're going to do to help this country, and all of that fear and that anxiety and that anger and that frustration that they bring up within you, let's really go down deep into that. Because as you guys know, I'm a shadow teacher. I am a shadow hunter. I'm an alchemist. And so my job is to hold space for you and be the mirror for you so that you may see yourself in everything that is in your life. So let me ask you a question before we dive in. Where do you see yourself in Donald Trump? Because you wouldn't have created him collectively if he wasn't a part of you. Where are you a reflection to that individual? What about him makes your skin crawl, or what about him makes your heart sing? Depending on who you are and what your belief systems are, he is the greatest at this time and space reflection to you. Or he wouldn't be in office. Because this journey is about personal responsibility. It has nothing to do with anyone being outside of you that holds power against who you're going to get to be in your future. Now let's look at Hillary. Where can you find yourself in Hillary? Where can you find that suppressive energy, that bigger than life energy, that scared energy, that fearful energy, that conspiracy energy within yourself? Because you would not have attracted her, we would not have attracted her collectively had we not been a vibrational match as a collective to that energy. So this is big. We're starting off taking personal responsibility, which is going to be the next 5 years for you. The change is coming. The fall of power. Let's look at power. Power is a fake prophecy of love. And this particular planet has been governed through power for a very long time by a couple of families. It's not been your government. It's been these certain families who have owned this planet and pushed us into a state of fear based in power struggle. But as we move into this ascension, love is our weapon. And if we can find ourselves in Hillary, and we can find ourselves in Trump, what happens? What happens when you find the reflection of what it is that you are in resistance of? The charge clears. The resistance goes away. And you see all along that there wasn't ever a Donald Trump or a Hillary Clinton. It was you. It was you at war with yourself. It was you at war with your belief about this being real. And it's not. It never has been. And so as you embark over the next 5 years, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking your power back. You're going to be finding the reflections of all of the lost selves that you've left behind, abandoned, and self-hated within yourselves. And as you collect those pieces of yourself, you're going to get bigger than life. And you're going to really remember who you are and why you came. Because the people who follow my work are not people who have come to the planet to just work 9 to 5, get your retirement, have your healthy life insurance, and look forward to your favorite TV shows. Those are not my followers. My followers are renegades, pioneers. They are the ones who are constantly working on themselves to be better for the world and for themselves as well. And so following this message means that you signed up for something much bigger than you have any idea. And there is going to be a moment in time coming very soon where you will stand and just know who you are. And you will know exactly why you're on the planet, and you will know exactly how to live your purpose. And you won't know how you know it. It will just be there when you need it. So, with that being said, where are you right now in the midst of the storm of this planet? Because in Earth moving into its grand 5, 6, 7D dimension, it's going to shake you up to wake you up. And as we move through a gestational period, it is almost like the birthing process. And once that election started, it was like the contractions began, right? And you're being pushed, and you're being pushed, and you're being pushed, and you're being triggered, and you're being pushed to your very edge of what you believe in, but not what your old beliefs are, but what your internal, your empowered self believes in. You don't believe in the school system the way it is. You don't believe in the food that is being provided for this world. So why are you agreeing to it? You're going to be pushed to your greatest level of your personal integrity this year. And you're going to be asked to stand up for what it is that you really believe in from your soul, not from what people are going to think about you. You know, it's like we are, as a collective species, working night and day, whether you know it or not, subconsciously, you're building the new world. The human side of you just doesn't know you're doing all of that. It doesn't know that, you know, you're here for so much bigger reasons other than waking up and going to your job and feeding your kids and doing what you're doing. There's a part of you that is already living in the new world. And that part of you is calling you. That's why that urge, that gut check is never going to go away until you stand up for yourself. So right now, each and every one of you in your personal lives today are being asked to stand up for yourself somewhere. Somewhere. It could be in a relationship, it could be a job, it could be with a health issue, it could be anything. But right now, if you look, exactly what we've manifested outside of us is happening within. And what these two beautiful candidates are showing us is that we don't need them. That it's a joke. That it's a pack of lies, which is exactly what you've been telling yourself since you were a little child and you gave up the fact that you were worth it. You gave up the fact that you deserved happiness and love and abundance and strength. And when you gave up that power, the government was created. And as the government begins to fall, because we see that we don't need anything outside of ourselves, then we've got to stand up now and say, we can do this. We are doing this. We are the ones who are going to build a new world. And that's when your switch is going to get flipped and you're going to know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You already have a calling. And if you're not sure what your purpose is, what pisses you off? Because that will lead you to your purpose just as well as your creative energy. What is it that makes you come alive, and what is it that gets under your skin? That's your purpose. For me, it's education, and it's teaching people how to personally raise their vibration and frequency and take total responsibility for the life that they've created. There's nothing that is more sexier to me than that. There's nothing that makes me get so excited than knowing that someone is living for themselves and working on their own personal frequency to make the world a better place, because you are the universe. You are the universe in human form. And what you do to yourself, then we see outside of ourselves us doing to each other. What you say to yourself when you're low is exactly what these politicians are saying to you guys. So doesn't that take some of the fear out of what's coming? Now I've got some big messages today. Some big messages on how it's going to unfold, because that's the big question. You know, and I will tell you one thing. You have been desiring change since the moment you step foot on this planet. You've been asking for it, you've been begging for it, you've been wanting to be seen and heard, you've been wanting to be loved, you've been wanting to express love since the moment you were born. You are going to have that opportunity. But there is a very significant difference between wanting something and having something. And so when you have something, what does that bring up in you? Think about it. Think about the last time you manifested something you loved more than anything. What did the human part of you do in that moment? You became afraid of it. Because you loved it so much, now the other side of the polarity of that is I could lose it. I don't know if I want to love this much because then I could lose it. Then I could be afraid, so I'd rather not love. And that's the game we've been playing this whole time, is the numb game. The game of instant gratification, instead of really becoming vulnerable to ourselves and others and opening up our hearts to anyone that would receive it. And going all in and saying, I am here right now in love with you, and I'm in love with the world, and I don't care what happens, I'm not going to lose it. Because that is the root of the fear of this planet. It isn't fear, it's loss, it's grief. And that is what we are afraid of as far as letting go. Think about why you're not moving faster on your spiritual journey. You're afraid to leave someone behind or lose something. You are not afraid of what you're going to gain unless you don't think you're worthy of it. Does that make sense? So as the coming months, what they're going to teach you first and foremost is they're going to slap you into self-love. And how are they going to slap you into self-love? Well, I'm going to give you some advice. Money as you know it is going to change. So if you have it, and you've invested into a system that is very soon going to collapse, I would urge you to take what liquid assets you have and invest in yourselves right now. Invest in something that is going to sustain your life no matter what happens. Something that is going to sustain your happiness. Something that is going to create shelter for you. Something that's going to create abundance later. And that could be learning a trade. That could be certifying yourself as a coach. That could be building a tiny home. That could be learning how to garden. That could be anything. But if you take that money out and you invest in yourself, you are telling the universe that I am here to change the world. You're not putting your money into a system that charges you to hold it for you. Because that will soon go. And if that goes, while your money's been invested, then you're going to have to grassroots your life. Which, trust me, I've done it, it's not that hard. But you can, you don't have to do that. So think about where you live right now. Are you in love with it? If it's not, create it so that you are. Because the more things that you can fall in love with right now, the easier this transition is going to be for you. This is going to be a flawless vibrational ride. It's going to feel like surfing, not being caught in a riptide. The higher your vibration is during the next 6 months, the more fun it's going to be. The more of a smooth adventure. It's going to be like parasailing and surfing instead of falling off of a boat with no life jacket. The choice is yours. That is the only thing you own on the planet. Choice. You can choose to love the body you're in or hate it. You can choose to love the family that gave birth to you or you can hate them. That choice is yours, although you made that choice. Now, go back to those choices right now and say, where can I fall in love with money? Where can I fall in love with myself? Where can I fall in love with my home, my friends? Who do I need to eliminate from my life so that I can add more love? Let go of the anchors. Because the reason why we're going through this shift in the first place is because we don't know how to let go. Right? What is the purpose of an earthquake? What is the purpose of all of these disasters that are happening all over the world? And you know how these disasters are formed. This is an emotional planet. So the emotions that we will not allow ourselves to feel are projected outside of us and they create storms. So where someone is not able to let go, a collective environment, there will be earthquakes. There will be national disasters. And what that is going to do is it's going to push us into love. It's going to push us into self-love. It's going to make us remember what's really important. It's going to humble us. And we're going to move into action of loving each other back to life. That is our job. So if the world stands up and says, okay, I'm going to have some national disasters because they're coming, and they are going to shake you up, to wake you up, and you can find gratitude for that instead of fear. Because here's the thing, we have a co-creative agreement with Mother Earth. She is never, ever going to do anything that we can't handle. She is never, ever, ever going to take anyone from this planet that didn't already ask to go. So as she puts in her part to help the planet wake up with her storms and her world events, and our election is a big ego joke for us to see who we've been to ourselves all these years, right? And the money's going to collapse so we can remember how to value ourselves again outside of what we can give someone monetarily. Do you see how this whole 6 months is going to shove you into self-love, whether you like it or not? It's going to pulse you in there slowly, depending on how much resistance you have. Right? If you're going to hold on to the side of the river, you're going to take a beating. But if you let go and be guided by your excitement and your joy and your bliss and your love for humanity, for the world, for the animals, for food, for music, that is going to be the boat that you will ride instead of having to go underwater. Now, the election is going to take care of itself. I don't want you to worry, because everything has already happened. We are basically revisiting the past, and I can tell you we win. Love wins. The election is going to take care of itself because of something called transparency. Now, transparency has never, ever been part of this planet since the destruction of Atlantis. What is transparency? Truth coming to light. What is disclosure? Disclosure is the information that's been hidden from you your whole entire existence. The truth about 9/11. The truth about everything that's ever happened on this planet that has pushed you into fear has been propaganda, has been staged. 90% of the terrorist attacks that you see on television are Hollywood. It's not real. All these shootings are set up by your own system that is playing against you in order to scare you and segregate you. Black lives matter. Gay lives matter. This is propaganda. We're all one. There is no separation unless you buy into the fear. So if you're dealing with a racist issue or a segregation issue within your own belief system, ask yourself, where are you segregating from yourself? Where are you in judgment of your skin color, or your eye color, or your lineage, or your behavior? Because you're not anything other than the person sitting next to you, heart to heart. So as the money goes, it will not leave so that you guys have nothing. As we move into one, there will be enough for everyone. Because if there's one thing that nature has taught us, is that the world is abundant. The grass doesn't ask to grow, it just grows. And so when you let go of your value with money, you will have more than you ever thought possible. Everyone will have more than they need. Everyone will have more than they need. But the idea of you judging yourself based on the dollar amount in your bank account is what is holding you back. So start imagining a life where everyone has what they need, where we can build the planet back into the way that nature designed it to be, self-sustaining. Medicine that comes from the world itself versus a lab that is based in power and control, and controlling each part of your nervous system at a time to shut you down from your truth and move you back into balance. And so as disclosure happens, the truth is going to come out first. Before you see alien crafts landing in your backyard trying to barbecue with you, okay, which I know some of you want, the truth is going to start coming out big time. And if you're paying attention, it already is. If you are paying attention and you are plugged in to the spiritual community, you've seen the crafts. You've seen the information about 9/11. You've seen the information about the terrorist attacks. You've seen what's going on with our own government and our own troops and how they're being lied to. You already know this, But very soon, this will be mainstream information because the media is going to be shut down. And when the media is shut down, there's going to be big changes with the IRS. And when the IRS changes, we are not going to be suppressed anymore by taxation. Yet we will contribute to the world, which is how it should be. So moving away from that traditional suppressive tax act and moving back into contribution, which is exactly what we should be teaching our children right now, is how to contribute, how to be of service, how to take care of each other, instead of having to study something that they have no interest in. Because I will tell you, your children know the truth, and they will not be a part of a school system that's lying to them. And so if they're the ones that wake you up, God bless them. If they're the ones who are your earthquake, then allow it to shake you awake. Be with that teacher in the moment. Be with that, because that's going to be what is going to be the driving force for you to move out of your comfort zone into the new world. And you can go peacefully, or you can go kicking and screaming. It doesn't matter at this point, because it's already done. We've already won. And now what has to happen is just a beautiful unfolding of events to help awaken you a little bit more in different areas. And a lot of it has to do with self-love. And the parts of yourself that you're still scared. The parts of the government you still want because you're lonely and afraid and don't think that you can do it. The part of yourself that you don't know what it is you're supposed to do on the planet and you sit is the reason why we have a government. Because we need them to take care of us. We need them to provide jobs for us. We're here to provide our own job. You know what that job is? To be of service in any way that you possibly can and let the universe provide abundance for you so that you may self-sustain. That's as easy as it is. But the intergalactic help is already here. Your star families are already here. They're working side by side with you. Each day that passes, new energies come to the planet to be assistance. Ancient energies. The star languages are coming back. The star light music is coming back. The healers are waking up. The teachers are getting their power back and stepping forward and commanding their audience of people to remind who they are. Remember to put back together. That's your job. When you give someone a hug and love them unconditionally, your heart-connecting heart, and you're telling that person that you care. That is the most important thing that you can do on any given day, is to show someone that you care. And in return, care about yourself. There's also going to be something that's going to interestingly happen with this election, and one of our candidates possibly could have their life ended before the end of the year. And that's going to take care of a lot of stuff for us. So again, a series of events is going to unfold as far as disclosure goes. And the truth about one candidate and one candidate's lineage will unfold as well. Because let's look at it really. Let's look at Trump. What does Trump represent? A tantrum child, right? A child that is saying no fair. What part of you is that? Hillary, that reptilian energy. That energy that is suppressive and cunning. And it is the voice within you that tells you you're not good enough. But it smiles in the mirror as you're doing so. And then yet it goes and does things that are behavioral challenges for you. So I would say she represents your self-sabotage. And he represents your inner tantrum. And so if you just, for the next 3 weeks, work through those two issues with yourself, this would happen a lot faster. Because what will happen is this sideshow that's been occurring will just go away because we will shift into a different timeline. And our brain will catch up with the body and let us think that we actually went through a series of events, but all we actually did was shift into a parallel reality where that kind of nonsense didn't exist. And that is going to how it's going to be unfolding. Now, however you see this within your own belief system, your belief systems are going to get challenged. And that's okay. Because in order for you to grow, you've got to have your belief systems challenged. You've got to have your integrity challenged. You've got to have your faith challenged. Because no one moves in the comfort zone. And as we move into this new year, the birth of Christ consciousness in its full extreme, we are going to be taking center stage as the new politicians. What does that mean? What is a politician? A politician is just someone who helps the people for the people. Aren't we already doing that? So the new era of politicians will be you, and I urge you that if you have any desire as an impact light worker, indigo, starseed, whatever you're calling yourselves, if you have any desire to get into politics, do it. We need you. We need you to start campaigning for the new world instead of what's going to make money. We need your strength. We need your inner warrior. We need you to stand up and say, this is going to change, and it's going to start right here in my neighborhood, in my house, where I hold a meeting. Because I know these little groups are forming all over the world, especially in this country right now, to take back our power. And I can guarantee you, in the last 7 days, you've probably had at least 3 opportunities to take your power back, haven't you? Did you take it? Because if you didn't, you will be asked again this next week 6 times. Where do you need to take your power back? Is it a teacher with your kid's school? Is it a health issue that you're just really tired of? Is it a job that is disempowering you? Where do you need to take your power back this week? Because you are a micro of the macro of what's going on. What is it calling to you, and why are you not doing it? Don't not do it and then complain about the state of affairs of the world. Become the change that you seek, and then watch everything unfold from a high vibrational state that feels like a roller coaster ride of joy, not of anguish and suffering. We don't have to suffer anymore. And if we could find a way to really laugh through this process, and every time you look at Trump, you say, okay, challenge, game time, where do I see myself in him right now? Where do I see myself in him right now? You will start to see him differently. And if 10 people did that, that would change the election. Because you're looking at him as he is something outside of you that is causing segregation and disempowerment with your world, and that is not how it's working. Same with Hillary. And you may be pro one of these, and that's fine. Still find yourself, because if you can find the reflection of yourself in this energy, you'll clear the charge, and you'll help shake it loose faster. But it's going to happen whether you like it or not, and it's going to happen to show you who you are. Okay. So, we've got the money changing, we've got education being born, we've got people all over the planet broadcasting the truth. We've got amazing stories of humans that are changing the world for the better, cleaning up the oceans, inventing free energy, creating new money systems, building sustainable living places. The change has already happened. It's just, what are you paying attention to? Because if you would start looking toward what these people are doing already on the planet, you would not be scared at all, because you'd say, great, as soon as this system falls, I'll have a whole new system ready to go, and you will. But I'm urging you again, as far as the money goes, that whatever it is that you have right now that you're using as a nest egg, that you are playing in the stock market, I would highly recommend that you start betting on yourself, invest in yourself, and do something fantastic for your future right now with that money. Don't wait. Because as the banking system changes and the election falls, and as disclosure comes out about the truth, about who has been at war with you this whole time, which was yourself, but from a galactic and governmental state, the war has been all inside. Isn't that funny? Isn't that symbolic? That our own country was at war with itself. Isn't that a reflection of us? It's so symbolic, and that's all we have to do. Is, oh, that's just a projection of what's going on with me. Thank you, law of reflection, for reminding me. I'm going to go within right now, and I'm going to work through this fear. I'm going to work through this loss. I'm going to work through this pain. And you don't have to do it in a negative state. You can do it through joy. You should laugh your way through this election. I posted something on Facebook yesterday, and I thought it was hilarious. And it was during the hurricane in Florida. 2 people dressed up like T-Rexes, and they just started running around the beach. And I'm like, yes! Because it's a storm, of course. And most of us, what do we do in a storm? We take shelter. How many of us go dance in the rain and say, thank you, rain, because as soon as this clears, I'm going to have the rainbow, and my food is going to be growing faster, and I'm going to have more abundance around me because everything grows through the storms. So stop seeking shelter in the storms and go out and become the storm. Become the storm and say, I want to become the storm of my own life, and I want to purify everything that I have been through. And stop focusing on things that are none of your business. Stop focusing on other people's journeys. That is none of your business. That just means you're not looking in the mirror. When you take your eyes off the mirror and you look to someone else and try to save them, then what happens is you don't save yourself. And that person doesn't know how to turn on their own light, and now they need you to save them every day for the rest of their lives. Because you didn't teach them how to save themselves. You were teaching them that you were going to save them. And that's what we've been doing our whole lives. As empaths, as indigos, we see the potential in people. We see the heart in people. We see through them. We see their soul. And what we want more than anything is what? For them to see it. Isn't that the greatest pain that we have endured? Is to invest so highly in someone and not have them see their own light? Now, let me flip that switch. Find the reflection in that. Where are you not seeing your own light and your own potential? Where are you not living in your own potential? Because we need your potential to build a new planet. We need every crazy idea you've ever had. We need your nonsensical stories to teach children about conscious parenting and classes about how the world works. We need your poetry to remind us of how our heart song is. We need your leadership. We need your access to speaking to nature. We need your access seeing the unseen. And denying the world of that right now is the greatest pain there is. You don't need to hide your weirdness, your uniqueness, your inner strengths, because they may not make sense in a three-dimensional construct. But move out of that into a higher perspective and look down on the world as it needs help. It needs the singers and the songwriters and the musicians and the comedians. And that's this election is literally that. It's a big comedy show. And if we could look at it that way and really embrace the humor, like, wow, look at us as a collective species. Out of all the billions of people in the world, this is who we choose. That's funny. Right? I mean, that is hilarious. So if we look at it that way and go, okay, well, this is just a reflection of my inner shadow, my inner demons. So let me play with them for a little bit. Let me go in and get to love on my own shadows and get to love the parts of myself that are unhealed. And lighten up. Because the thing is when you should lighten up the most is during the storm. When the storms come, that's when you play. And if you play, what you'll do is you'll raise your frequency so high that you will just be part of the change and not lost in it. You will not lose anything, I promise you. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. You will experience love unlike anything that you've ever felt in your entire world if you would just let go of your own self-hatred. It's there, it's waiting for you. but it's also going to take courage, which is what I learned last Second Sunday when I stood up here with no message. I had to stand here and say, I have no message for you, and I'm just going to be courageous and stand here and hope something happens, and I think it did, I don't remember, but it did. And now here we are this month, and it feels like a totally different lifetime for me, and I feel like Joan of Arc today, and it's like, just let's take our power back, and let's do this as a collective, because we know we can. And if you forget who you are, we're here. If you forget why you've come, I will remind you, or someone will remind you. It's that quick. All you have to do is start walking in the direction of what burns you alive, what makes you come alive, and walk away from the directions of the things that belittle you, betray you, and unlove you. So, this is big information, and I'm going to let it integrate for a minute, and let's take some questions. Comments? Anyone? Kara?
I have a basic question. Somebody asked, is it better to take our savings out of the bank and keep it in our homes?
Okay, so I'm not going to answer that. Okay? This is a moment of discerning.
Repeat the question.
Oh, repeat the question. Is it better to take our savings out and put it under the mattress, basically? I'm not going to answer that for you. I don't want to be liable for what happens. I don't know what we're talking about here. So, but what I would say is that spend your money on you, okay? And if that means you don't know who you are yet, and you don't know what you need and want yet, I would say, yeah, put it somewhere safe, okay? Because if you have access to it, you will be able to use it. Something really, really interesting happened to me last week that I want to share you because it goes along with the money thing. For 5 years, I've been getting this downloads about, oh, the money's going to go, and this is how it's going to go, and the banks are just going to close on a Friday, and they're just not going to open, okay? And I've been getting that for about 5 years, and then I'm like, you know, thinking about it, and then forget about it, think about it, forget about it. Well, last week, I actually went to a store to buy a Halloween costume, and my debit card wouldn't work. And I didn't think about it at all, but then I went to the bank to deposit some money, and I put my card in and it said, this account doesn't exist. And I went, oh, and then I was like, okay, please, what do I do? What do I do, right? And then I'm like, wait, this is a good thing. Okay, so I get on the phone and I go through my 3D tactics and I'm calling the bank, and they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. So then I have to wait till the next day, and I go show up at the bank at 9 a.m. and I'm the first one there, and I'm like, oh, this place is really weird. You know, walk in, and I give them a card, and they're like, yeah, this account doesn't exist. And I'm like, but it just worked, right? So I'm going through all of this, and then I sit back and I go, okay, I'm just going to really accept this right now. If this is what's going on, and it's happening right now, who am I in this moment? Who am I without this debit card? Who am I without being able to buy my child a Halloween costume? And I went, I'm me. I'm still me. Nothing has changed. And then this man walked up to me and he said, you know what, just go outside and try it on the ATM. I have a feeling it's going to work. Walked outside, it worked. But in that moment, it was like this beautiful unfolding of the challenge and the courage that I'm going to need, that we're all going to need. Because who are you? Who are you without being able to provide everything your children want, or, you know, for yourself? Who are you without that? And if you can find that acceptance right there, you won't need to go without. And that's what Spirit showed me that day, is you fully accepted it, and you took your power back, and you totally accepted what was going to happen, and then you didn't have to worry. Everything worked out. So to me, that was a lesson that was really important. But it was a little storm. And so where are your storms right now that are teaching you your value? Where are your storms right now that are teaching who you are and how you've been behaving towards yourself? So let's go to another question. Okay?
Can you touch on how the terrorist attacks or whatever are government propaganda and power propaganda for other people? Because I think that people are assuming you saying that means that people didn't really die.
Okay, that's not what I'm saying. So she said, can I touch on a little bit about how the terrorist attacks are propaganda and fake, and can I touch on the fact that I'm saying that people didn't really die? I actually did a podcast about this, and the podcast I did was right after, I think it was the Florida shootings.
Yes.
And what I did was I tapped in to the collective to find out what was really happening during that time. And I will tell you that it is 50-50. People are losing their lives, but not as many people as you think. Okay? There is collateral damage when you're creating a false war. There is collateral damage, which means that our young people are being brainwashed into boot camp and taught away from their own natural GPS center and pushed into a country where they believe that they're fighting for freedom. And what they're actually fighting for is the drug cartel and the power and property ownership and land ownership and money ownership. That is what our troops are fighting for, and I am not belittling them and saying that they're not dying. And I am not belittling and saying that certain children have not left the planet and people have not left in the false war. But I am telling you 1,000% it is a false war. That is one mission, and it is not your freedom, it is the freedom of the powers that be. But there is about 50% of this that is staged in a sound studio with green screens. And if you've been following your metaphysical teachings, you will see that the same people keep dying over and over again. They're called actors. You have seen the same girl cry and die in several different events all around the world. And if you want, we could share it on our Facebook page to show you that what you're getting in the media is about 1% true. Okay? It's all acting. Because you know what? This is all a movie. And you need to be in contrast with someone in order to play this game. This is not bad. It's like how many of you have played sports? You need an opposing team to find your inner strength. You need to have someone to play against or it's not fun. How many of you guys have been really, really, really good at what you're doing and then played against someone who's not very good? It's not satisfying. You need someone who is as equally as dark as you are light. And you need someone who understands that thoughts, feelings, and beliefs create reality, and they know how to mess with yours. Through television, through the internet, through your phone, because the internet is the Akashic Records. Anything that you seek, you can have in less than 3 seconds. But the Akashic Records is filled with everything, not just stuff that's true. It's filled with everything. So at any given moment, you have access to the entire universe through a device. How beautiful is that? But your job, again, is that little word, the thing that you own, choice. Do you choose to see what resonates, what penetrates your soul as truth, or do you jump on the bandwagon of fear? Because that is the game. Love against fear. 2 teams, 2 badass teams, by the way, that really know what they're doing. This is not minor league. This is major league. Galactic hologram game. Because what we're playing on this particular planet is happening throughout the galaxy. We are cleaning up timelines here on Orion's War. We are cleaning up Atlantis energy. We are cleaning up everything that we have messed up in the past in this lifetime. In this incarnation, you are facing every devil you've ever had on every timeline. And you have all the support that you've always had since the beginning of time. That's how powerful you are. Your game is so much bigger than you think it is. And it all just starts with you remembering who you are. Does that help?
I think so.
Okay.
It was just from a comment that was made on.
Good. Questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question.
Annabelle?
So, you're talking about disclosure.
Yes?
And ET aliens and all of that.
Talking about disclosure, ET aliens, yep.
Do we have like an idea of when it will actually be on mainstream media instead of all these subversive, internet sites?
Well, well, what did I say about mainstream media?
It's all lies.
Going away.
It's never going to show you. Do you know it doesn't show you the mass meditations that are going on all over this planet where millions of people are gathering and meditating? It's not showing you that meditation is starting in new schools. It's not showing you that people are cleaning the ocean and saving the animals. So you're not going to see the ships on TV. Guess where you're going to see them? Look up. Look up. Get off your phone and look up. Because they'll be sitting in your backyard during major events. And then you can barbecue with them. Hot chocolate, whatever the season, right? So they are going to show up, but they're going to show up in your lives. Not through a media source that's actually going to try to cover them up with fog and lights. Anybody seen The Truman Show?
Yeah.
Okay? A little bit more real than you could ever imagine. You're the star. And the whole world is the stage. And everyone who passes by is there for you to believe that you are who you think you are. So if you haven't seen that movie, watch it, because you'll be like, mind blown. That's me. And the crafts are coming. They're here. I see them every day. Some of them are shaped like clouds. The technology that they have is way beyond what our third-dimensional brain and eyes can function with. But if you soft focus and you breathe deep 10 times, you'll get out of your ego and look up, because they're there. They've always been there, but they're just there in masses. They're there in strength now. And they're walking among us. The people who weep for the planet, those are your human angels. The warriors who stand and fight for your peace, those are your indigo warriors. They're walking side by side with you, and they've always been here. The impacts, the ones who can feel what you're feeling before you can feel it, are the healers of this planet, and they've been here since the beginning. It's just a matter if you can see them, because you're not seeing yourself. Make sense? Question? Let's take 2 more. Come on, guys, this is good stuff. And then I know you have a question. Anything online? Okay. Al's got a question.
Well, actually, I don't have a question as much as a statement, but
Okay, let's hear your statement.
I've noticed over the last year that I've really listened to the lyrics and the songs. The messages are in there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm noticing, I catch my roommate, one of these programs he watches, and it's talking about quantumness, and it's talking about all these things that you talk about in here, and it's coming on TV. So to me, like the Stargate and all that stuff. So to me, that's soft disclosure right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Good point, Al. What he was saying is that he is seeing it on TV. He is hearing it in song lyrics. It is everywhere. Every major motion picture that's ever been made is a prophecy or a thumbprint of where we are collectively. Okay? There are shows. There is a whole television network dedicated to the truth called Gaia. 24 hours a day, spiritual documentaries, alien information, disclosure information. What are you tuned into? It just matters where you're tuned into. And music has been our saving grace since the beginning of time, because embedded in the lyrics is the truth. The truth of everything we've been through and will go through together. And the music is coming back, isn't it? That music is coming back in to heal us. There is healing codes in orchestra music that will heal the DNA in suffering. There are lyrics that exist on the planet that can activate your psychic abilities. Again, where are you checked in and where are you checked out? Because Al's right, it's everywhere. You can't go anywhere without finding someone who is awake that you thought he was asleep. Your plumber could show up and start talking about how Hillary's an alien, right? I heard that story yesterday. Like, my plumber, I thought we were talking about a reptilian, Hillary. It blew my mind. Why? Because he's a plumber? He's a plumber because he doesn't want to work 9 to 5 because he's an indigo and he knows what's up. Right? So the truth is out out there. You can't bump into anyone who's not awake. Everyone is waking up. And you know what? It's time for you to give them more credit. It's time for you to start seeing the fact that they are awake and stop judging the fact that they're asleep. Because by you judging people who are asleep, you're judging the aspects of yourself that is still asleep. Because everyone is doing the best that they can from their level of awareness and consciousness. And that is where they are. And that is to be loved and honored and to move into grace so that you can be part of the solution for the world changing. Rex?
It seems so much safer to keep your blinders on so you don't see all this stuff. So you're not going to go out there deliberately, take off your blinders. So how can you transition or comfortably start seeing the truth and start seeing what you need to see?
He says it doesn't feel safe to go out and take your blinders off. So how do you see the truth? Look at your own behavior. You don't have to look outside of yourself to find the states of the world. Look in yourself and where you're still judging yourself and where you're scared of yourself and where your pain is. Like, where is the pain in your body right now? That is an exact message from your soul letting you know that either you don't have your personal power or you can't speak your truth or your heart's not opened. That's it. That's how easy it is. You never even have to go outside and put your blinders on. You just have to get in front of a mirror and get really, really vulnerable with yourself and start accepting the pain that you've been carrying your whole life so that you can transcend it. Does that help, Rex? Okay?
I have a couple questions online.
Okay.
Can you talk more about your vision for education?
My vision for education is children that know how to live on this planet, that feel completely confident about who they are and their abilities to thrive anywhere possible, which means that mindfulness, which means nature, which means that deliberate creation and intention is all something that children know how to do before they're 5 years old. Which means that they are taking center stage as the leading role of their life instead of playing the side role to a parent who is based in fear or an education system that is there to teach them away from their natural GPS. So everything that I want to build with education is to remind children of who they already are and then allow them complete adventure and freedom to go create who they are. Because we know that this universe is quantum. We don't need to learn anything. We need to experience things and access them and download them and become them until we want to change who we've become, and then we go and become something else. So mathematics, science, English, education, languages, all of these things will be embedded into nature because nature is God. And nature brings the oneness of who we are. And we can learn everything from sacred geometry to life on other planets by looking at our planet itself. By traveling with these children, and instead of pulling out a book and reading with them about another place, taking them there. Letting them integrate and ground into the soil so that they can remember what really took place. And decide what they want to change about what's going to be there next. Because if you have children, you know how smart they are. And they don't need to learn the way that you needed to learn. They need to remember and have adventure and freedom. Children need wings and they need roots. And what roots are is someone who can help them feel safe while they are becoming who they are. And so yes, we are developing a whole education system. We are also going to tell you live publicly that Transcendence is going in towards a nonprofit. By the beginning of next year, Transcendence will completely be a nonprofit so that we can start doing more charity work and we can start working with the people hand in hand instead of having to work in a company setting, because that is not 5D. It is all about giving back and being so abundant in the giving back that no one goes without. And so teaching children about their bodies and nutrition and all of the things that are not taught in schools is going to also be important. And the new business models that are coming. Children need to know how to come together and be of service and volunteer. Our children need to know how to contribute to the planet. give back to the planet. So we're going to be bringing a lot of ancient energy back into education that allowed this planet to thrive. Ceremony and giving back to the world that's given us so much. That's going to erase the entitlement generation and allow children to play again. Okay? Yep.
And then what's the best personal work someone could do for themselves to advance? Is it 50% service of others and 50% service of self, which is effectively 100% service of one?
Yep. Whoever said that is awesome. Yes. And the question is what's the best way about going into a higher vibration? And is it 50% service to self, 50% service to others, which creates 100% service to one? Yes. Because the thing is think about your day. Self-service towards yourself is reminding yourself, is loving yourself, is working through the things that are triggering you, is to be gentle with yourself, to play, to go on adventures, to love. And then, exactly what you're doing for yourself, go do that for someone else. You'll raise your vibration so quickly, you won't even know that you've got anything to work on. Because you won't need patience. Your life will be a moment by moment by moment by moment by moment unfolding of your own grace by just taking those steps. Okay? Yes, Katie?
So, culturally, we are taught to think.
Culturally, we're taught to think, yes.
To get an education, to learn, to acquire knowledge. And so, in that thinking mindset, which is one that I am guilty of, being an overthinker, one could look at the situation and get overwhelmed, and our brains could start working. So I was thinking, okay, how do I simplify this for myself? And our heart has its own intelligence.
Yes, heart has its own intelligence, yes.
So I was having this image of, instead of thinking from our brains,
think from your heart.
And to actually use that as our first filter for what's coming in and what's going out.
I love it. She said in everything that we're talking about and everything that's happening right now, if you're an overthinker, which is how our collective was brought through school, is to overthink and overprocess and overanalyze and underdeliver and underdo, then we become professional overthinkers. And in something like I just shared with you, as far as the money and the election and all those things, it can really send an overthinker into extreme frenzy. And so what Katie was saying is instead of going into our head to think about what I'm saying, is go into the heart where it has its own intelligence and allow that to be your first filter. That is what you are. Your heart has always been your first filter, but you didn't listen. Your first filter is called a feeling. Once it moves into your head, it becomes an emotion. Energy in motion. And now you have to label how you feel. Right? I'm giving you this information that is actually completely neutral in its pure form. The information that I just outlined today is completely neutral, new to your reality. But your head will get a hold of it and decide how you feel about the information. And now you've turned it into a belief system with what I'm saying is either full of it or it's right in alignment, but it's still a choice. But at the basis of what it came through in the heart, it resonated as truth. And it also resonated as neutrality, which means you didn't have an opinion of it until your head got involved. And now you have an opinion of it. And now you're thinking about the money in your bank account and what you should do with it and what you should eat today. And oh, there's a squirrel, right? And once the head gets involved, it's going to change you. Because a lot of us can't think through the heart yet. And the way that you can practice doing that is stepping outside of your thinking for a minute and just be with your body and breathe. Just be with your body and breathe, because you can't really think and worry while you're breathing. And get your body back to the 0 point. And take your body back to the 0 point, and then set a very strong intention that you are going to feel and filter everything through your heart from now on. And once you set an intention, and intention up, it becomes. And only you can contradict that and counterintend that by allowing your head to say, well, I set this intention, but I really want to be in my head today. That is your choice, because once you ask, it's given. Let me tell you something before we wrap up. Everything that's happening right now, you've asked for. Everything that's unfolding on this planet right now, you have begged for your whole life. Because you've been bored, and it's been slow, and it's been weird here. And it's about to get real normal for you. Okay? It's about to be where you become the one that all of the things that you've done with your crystals and breathing and chanting and your oming and your healing forever is going to be the way that the world cleans itself up. So everything you've asked for is happening. Everything negative is a shortcut to your peace and happiness. So find the joy and the playfulness in the storm that's coming, that is here, and laugh your way through it and love your way through it. And stop filtering things through old belief systems. Stop filtering things through your mom and dad's voices. You didn't come here to live the way they lived. You came here for them to screw you up so badly that you find your own voice. That's the truth. They did you a solid. They were your first competitors. Right? They were your first contrast. They had to tear you down so you could build yourself back up, and now the world is trying to do that to you, and you're saying, no way, I know this game. If I can live through my childhood, I can live through this election. Right? Okay. Amy?
Well, you just brought up a point, like, so when this all becomes normal, will we need that contrast in our new world to sort of keep expanding, or will we find just expanding because we want to enough?
We will find a different kind of contrast. Her question, that was a great question. She said once we become the norm, and once become all of this is the norm, will we have enough contrast to have the desire? See, desire is the engine of manifestation. And 5D manifestation is instant. So we are not going to need the deep contrast to awaken us once we're awake. But what will fuel us in the new world is LOVE, which means that you're not going to be able to get enough. The new contrast is, how can I love more? How can I love this more? How can I love this more? And you're going to feel the love expand outside of you, and that's going to be so intoxicating and so vulnerable and so rich that that is going to be the contrast of itself. Is how do I experience bigger versions of this? So we no longer have to learn through pain. We're going to learn through reward. We're going to learn through loving and seeing how much I can love more and how much I can love more, because love will be its own contrast in the new world. How can I love nature and myself at the same time and grow food that puts the minerals and fibers back into the earth while feeding me? That's the game of love. How do I take care of my planet while taking care of myself? That's the game of love. And that's where we're shifting in. And if you can start practicing that within yourselves and within your families today, you will ride the rocket and you will miss the crazy circus. You will watch it with your popcorn from the stands instead of being the jester in the middle of the field. This is the love drive. I'm giving you the cheat codes. Raise your vibration. Find the frequency of unconditional love and become it. Walk it, talk it, breathe it. Only live in love, and you will never, ever, ever have to suffer another day in your life. Okay? So by next month, there should be some new unfoldings. I look forward to it. I might be in full armor next month. We'll see. I gotta go online and see how I can hold that stuff up. But I want you to walk in the direction of your strength this month. And your strength is love. Love everything. Love is the only thing that you actually need to defeat any opponent right now. And I don't mean have sympathy for, because sympathy is lack. I mean have compassion and tough love, which means I'm going to contribute to you and you're going to contribute to me, and we're going to do this together. That does not mean you're going to have sympathy for the victims that can't wake up. You're going to have compassion for them, and you're going to have tough love, and you're going to teach that person about contribution, and if they're not ready to hear that, you're going to go find someone who is ready. Because you love yourself enough not to lose yourself in someone else's journey who's not ready to awaken. It's your homework. So, thank you guys so much for coming. And I hope that you go and you have a phenomenal month, no matter what storms are coming. And just play in the puddles and look for the rainbows. And I will tell you too that your abundance is going to come from loving, not from trying. Okay? So when you start to feel stressed, let go. Go outside and fall in love with a butterfly. And you will watch that money, or whatever looks like money, of abundance, it will show up in your lap. And all you have to do is be grateful. Thank you guys so much for coming, and we'll see you next month.